Welcome back to the last episode of the Pioneer Sideline for this semester. We have a jam-packed week as we discuss the end of the soccer and volleyball season. We will also talk about the cross-country team as they finished the last leg of their season. And while those seasons were ending, the basketball season just started conference play. We will also bring back a classic sideline segment with a classic sideline face. So are you ready to head on down to the Pioneer Sideline? Welcome back to the Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Kyle Anthony. The men's soccer team was looking to make a run in the conference tournament that would allow the team to go to nationals. To find out if they were able to make that run, I'm joined by Josh Krupp, who has the scoop from inside the box.
Thanks, Kyle. I do have some bad news for you. The Point Park men's soccer team did see its season come to a close back on Thursday, November 12th. After defeating the Brescia Bearcats in the KIAC quarterfinals, Point Park traveled to Beckley, West Virginia to take on the West Virginia Tech Golden Bears for the right to play in that KIAC championship. Tech defeated Point Park 2-0 earlier in the season. The Golden Bears entered the game with a 15-1 overall record. Its only loss came against the #1 team in the nation and KIAC rival Rio Grande. The Golden Bears took the lead off a 16th-minute penalty kick. Tech then made the score 2-0 midway through the second half and won by that final. Tech lost to Rio Grande in the KIAC championship and later secured an at-large bid to the NAIA National Tournament. So, for the first time since joining the conference in 2012, the Point Park men's soccer team did not advance to the KIAC Tournament Championship. The Pioneers did advance to that conference championship in 2014, where they lost to Rio Grande. That game put a cap on the most successful season in team history, a season that ended with a 15-3 overall record and an undefeated regular season conference record. But in future years, when somebody looks up the 2014 Point Park men's soccer team, he or she will find an 0-18 record with an asterisk. According to the Globe, the team must forfeit all 15 wins after fielding an ineligible player for the duration of the 2014 season. According to Athletic Director Dan Swalga, the player, whose name Athletics does not want to release yet, was eligible by NAIA standards, but he was deemed ineligible due to, quote, an administrative clerical error. Swalga told the Globe the player's name was not on a form submitted to the NAIA National Office. The Globe story goes on to say Swalga first learned about the player's ineligibility in August and sent letters to other athletic directors in mid-October detailing these forfeits. As of now, the NAIA has not officially changed Point Park's record. It is also unclear at this point if the university will have to forfeit its KIAC Commissioner's Cup as the top overall athletic department in the conference based on the records of that 2014 season.
Now, Josh, let's start off with this controversy. Are firings coming, or what do you believe should happen to the high administrators who made this error that have cost the team those wins?
Kyle, when we talked to coaches around the league, there was a lot of positive reactions, surprisingly, from a few coaches, particularly Rio Grande's coach. He's been here 27 years now, and he had some very positive things to say about Dan Swalga and the entire Point Park athletic department. It's a clerical error. Swalga said it was an easy mistake. How easy a mistake, what the mistake was, we don't know. But the bottom line is somebody in athletics screwed up, and because of that, the team had to forfeit its season. Now, let's be clear. This does not reflect at all what the team did on the field last year, or in 2014. 15-3 is very impressive. Will a firing come at the upper administration level in athletics? I don't think so. Will a firing come of head coach Yaron Wallstra? No, not at all. It wasn't his fault. It was somebody up in upper administration in athletics. Will a firing come? I do not think so.
Well, Josh, I disagree with you on that point. I think a firing should come, but let's go back to this season. What went wrong for this team this season? They had so much success in the past seasons. What happened this season? Just seems like the mojo wasn't there.
It was a decent season considering the conference they're playing in. The KIAC this year, for the first time in its known history that we could find, got a at-large bid to the national tournament with the West Virginia Tech Golden Bears. Rio Grande was the #1 team in the country. West Virginia Tech only lost 1 game in the regular season, and it was to Rio Grande. Those were 2 very strong teams that Point Park had to get past to even get to the championship. It was a tough road ahead for them. They had a decent overall season this year. They were coming off a 2014 season, a 15-3 year, the best season in team history. They did lose Lucas Silva from that year, but we saw some young guns step up this year. Alan Ramos is going to be back next year. He came through and really broke through the scenes this year. Expect him to be a big player on next year's team. What happened to them overall this year? I think they just had some better opponents ahead of them.
Thanks, Josh. You've had great soccer coverage all year. The women's soccer team has been one of the top teams all season in the KIAC conference, and they were hoping that a strong regular season could lead to a deep playoff run. To find out how their journey ended, I'm joined by Brian Partika, who has all the answers for us.
Yes, the Point Park women's team won the Kentucky Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Championship at Highmark Stadium on November 14th, when they took down conference newcomer West Virginia Tech after a scoreless first half. A late penalty in the goal box allowed for senior Louise Delaney in the second half to score the winning goal for the 1-0 Point Park victory. Senior goalkeeper Erica Rooney, recorded her 8th shutout of the season with 8 saves. The conference champion gave the women an automatic bid to the NAIA National Tournament. In the opening round of the tournament, the women drew the #1 overall seed, Lindsey Wilson. In the game, things went just as planned for the Blue Raiders of Lindsey Wilson, as the defending national champions took down Point Park 5-0 behind a 4-goal performance from freshman standout Yvonne Plueg. Aside from the loss, the women had 8 players receive all conference honors. First team honors were Beth Milliken, Paige Manning, and Erica Roney. Second teamers were Jillian Evilsizer, Jasmine Michaela, Lisa Tokarski, Allison Joyce, and Erin Gilmartin. The Point Park women should be proud of their season for advancing to the national tournament, and the seniors should be even more proud. In the 4 years at Point Park, the senior women won a KIAC championship, 2 KIAC runner-up finishes, and a national tournament berth. No other class in Point Park women's soccer history won more games in their career, with 39 total, or in a regular season, as the women won a school record 12 games this year. So again, congratulations to the seniors on their outstanding careers.
Now, Brian, let's start off where this season ended. What happened against Lindsey Wilson?
Well, against Lindsey Wilson, they were just outpowered. I mean, the defending national champs, and they had Yvonne Plueg, the freshman standout, had 4 goals in that game. She has been a force all year for Lindsey Wilson, and that team is going to go far and probably repeat. The Point Park women should not feel bad about this loss.
Now, Brian, where can this team go next year? I know they're losing a 39 wins from these seniors. Is this team going to be as good next year?
I think next year will be a down year. They are losing 11 seniors, and they are bringing in a good freshman class, particularly a couple girls from Ohio, who I think are going to make a big contribution once they are sophomores and juniors. But I think next year will be a down year.
Thanks, Brian. When we return, the Pioneers basketball teams have kicked off their season in conference play. Alex Martage and Blaine King will join me to discuss the recent games.
Start your morning with City News.
Start your morning with campus news.
Start your morning with political coverage.
Start your morning with fun.
Start your morning with us, only on Daybreak.
We know you're wondering what the A-list celebrities are up to.
Well, here at Entertainment on Point, we're wondering too.
Have you heard about James Franco and Seth Rogen's new movie?
No, but have you heard Beyonce's new single?
Did you see what she was wearing on that red carpet?
Honey, that was not cute.
Did you see what happened on Scandal this week?
No, I was too busy keeping up with the Kardashians. No matter what your guilty pleasure is, we've got you covered.
Entertainment on Point. Get to the point of pop culture.
Yeah!
Early in the Point Park men's basketball season, the team is scoring at will, but lately the wins have been harder to come by. As the conference play starts, the team is looking to get some wins to put them atop of the conference. I'm joined by Alex Martich, who is here to tell us if the team was able to get some early conference layups.
Thanks, Kyle. Last week, the Point Park men's basketball team 125-62, thrashing Penn State Fayette at home on Monday the 23rd, only 2 days after a disappointing close loss to Brescia. The win was no ordinary occurrence for the Pioneers as they more than doubled the total points of Penn State Fayette. The Pioneers held their opponents to shooting only 27% for the game, which was a true showcase performance for their defense, which has at times throughout the season looked slow. On the other hand, the offense played exactly how we know that they can play. That's stretching the floor and getting out on the fast break. But once again, the key to Pioneer success was the fact that they were able to revamp their three-ball production. Hitting 17 threes throughout the course of the game, the Pioneers' efforts on offense were once again led by Jeremy Williams, who was 5 of 6 from behind the arc, having 25 points total, and led the Pioneers playing 35 minutes of the game. The Pioneers also received a pleasant surprise coming off of the bench from Lasana Kanate, who posted a double-double with 12 points and 11 rebounds in just 22 minutes. The Pioneers are now 6-4 overall this year, but are still only 1-2 in KIAC conference play. They face off tonight as they travel to New York to take on Villa Maria, then come home to face off against Washington Adventist on Thursday. Then we'll have their third game of the week against Alice Lloyd Saturday at 2 p.m., which will be their third game in 5 days. This is the second busiest stretch of the season for the Pioneers, next to their stretch of 5 games in 7 days right before Thanksgiving. During that stretch, the Pioneers finished 3-2. They will hope for a similar outcome during this stretch.
Now, Alex, obvious question. Can this team keep winning by just using the three ball as their main key?
Well, Kyle, they've done it so far this season. They obviously were able to get out on the fast break and stretch the floor a little bit more in this game. That's what happens whenever you put up 125 points. But the key really is going to be if they can keep up this stout defense that they had in this last game.
Now, to me, it seems like this team is not a very talented shooting team. It seems like all their skills just on the three-point line. Are they just a limited talented team?
I would say they have more condensed talent. Obviously, Jeremy Williams is going to be a leader for the team the entire season, but they have a lot of depth down low coming off the bench. As I mentioned, Lasana Kanate, who had a double-double in the last game in only 22 minutes, has been solid throughout the season. I do think that most of their work is going to have to come from beyond the arc, though.
Thank you, Alex. The Pioneers ladies basketball team is trying to get some early conference wins so they can establish themselves as the queens of the conference. To tell us if the team was able to regain their throne, I'm joined by Blaine King, who has all the royal answers.
Thanks, Kyle. The Point Park women's basketball team has played a total of 5 games since we last took a look at them here on the Pioneer sideline. Up first was a home game against Villa Maria, and Point Park had control of the game out of the gates. They scored 30 points in the first quarter and 26 in the second and third quarters, behind a shooting performance of 50.6 from the field and 48% from the three, including 6 Pioneers scoring in double figures. Point Park won handily 100-58. Next was 3 key conference games against West Virginia Tech, Asbury, and Brescia. Defense was key for the Pioneers as they held West Virginia Tech to 15 total points in the first half to their 36 points. Behind center Bailey Buleka triple-double in which she had 17 rebounds, 10 blocks, and 14 points, the Pioneers won 67-46. Against KIAC favorite the Asbury Eagles, the Pioneers gave it their all. Asbury was ranked 22nd in the NAIA, but Point Park went toe-to-toe with them in a game that took overtime to decide. Unfortunately, the Pioneers lost 65-61. Against Brescia, Point Park got off to a slow start, but finished strong, thanks to the shooting efforts of Leah Hurst, Carly Force, Bailey Buleka, and Selena DePietro, in which they all had double figures in points. The women were able to prevail to a 70-64 victory. Last was Penn State Fayette. This game was controlled by the Pioneers from the start, and everyone had a part in this victory. This one was a team effort as Coach Grenick had everyone get some playing time. The bench was especially key for the Pioneers as they scored a total of 57 points to Penn State's Fayette's 13. The final of this game was 83-63. The women now hold a record of 7-2 with a 2-1 record in KIAC play.
Now, Blaine, I know this was going to be a rebuilding year, but is this team off to a better start than Coach Grenick was expecting?
Yeah, Kyle, honestly, I have to say yes, because they're scoring a lot of points. We thought their issues was going to be on offense, but they seem to be playing defense and offense pretty good, and with a 7-2 record pretty early in this, but most of their losses coming by 2 points or less. This could be really key for the Pioneers getting off to a fast start.
Now, how important is it for this team to have consistent scoring? Because it seems like each game there's a different top scorer, but the only consistent players are Bailey Buleka and Carly Force.
It is important. You're getting a lot of good play from your bigs, which is a positive, and that's what they're going to have to rely on for this year. But when you have outside shooters and your guards shooting in different games, that's pretty good, because you never know who's going to catch fire, and eventually we could actually see one person start to pull away and become that shooting factor for Point Park.
Thanks, Mr. King. After the break, Blaine will join me once again and tell me about the cross-country trip to the national championships.
Here at the Pioneers Sideline, we get freshmen involved as quickly as possible so they get the real-world experience on air and behind the scenes to set themselves apart in internships and potential jobs. Blaine, where is that video? I needed it in KeyPro like yesterday.
All right, I got you, Chris. But I had a quick question for you guys.
What do you mean the questions? It's always a question. It's always a... What? Where is he? Blaine!
Blaine! Blaine!
Freshman, you can't find any good ones anymore.
Ever wanted to be behind the mic and have the world listening to your show on campus? Well, it's just as simple as joining WPPJ, Point Park's student-run radio station, located on the second floor of Lawrence Hall, right next to the dining services. Listeners can tune in using Point Park's website or through the TuneIn app by searching WPPJ. WPPJ welcomes any new DJs that want to get involved, so be heard. Do you have what it takes?
Point Park has been a dominant force when it comes to cross-country. In the years, the strength was able to lead the team to a berth at nationals. So I'm joined once again by Blaine King to tell us if the team was able to win that championship.
Yes, Kyle, for the first time in school history, the Point Park men and women cross-country team made their first appearance in the NAIA National Championship meet. Both teams made the trip down to Charlotte, North Carolina. We will take a look how the women fared first. Katie Garnacia had the best finish of any Pioneer. Not only did she finish the 5K in a span of 18 minutes and 28 seconds, but she broke her own school record and placed in the top 45 of the 321 runners in the 5K. The women finished with a 35th ranking in the national rankings, thanks to Katie Garnacia, Emily Maxwell, Madison Presina, Ashley Hagan, Kelsey Wilkins, Carl Rolfe, and Mackenzie Wilson. On the men's side of things, freshman Brian Moore led the way with the best finish of the men. He clocked in with a time of 26 minutes and 21 seconds. Out of all the freshmen in the nation, Moore finished 12th. Gary Olson was the next Pioneer to cross the finish line, followed by Sean Hilverding, Chris Hunt, Connor Wright, Desmond Morrow, and Bradley Kasia. Thanks to them, Point Park was able to finish 35th in the nation. On behalf of everyone here at the Pioneer Sideline and at UV, we extend our gratitude and congratulations to Coach Kelly Parsley and the men and women cross-country team on a great season.
Thanks, Blaine. The Point Park volleyball team came into the conference tournament hoping they could have the same kind of postseason magic they had last year. To find out if they were able to regain that magic, I'm joined by Mike Turk.
After ending the regular season with a big win, the Pioneers continued their momentum into the KIAC tournament. They first squared off against the host team themselves, Rio Grande, a rematch of the intense 5-set battle on Point Park senior night that went in favor of the Red Storm. Point Park headed into the quarterfinal game seeking some revenge. Led by the offensive weapons of Megan Branchick and Isabella Vavrick, who combined for 25 kills, Point Park was able to come away with the sweep over the Red Storm and advance to the semifinals against IU East. Against IU East, Point Park was down 2-1, but they were able to overcome the deficit and win the next 2 sets by the scores of 27-25 and 15-11. By advancing to the finals, Point Park was guaranteed a spot in the NAIAs because KIAC regular season champ IU Kokomo reached the finals. Point Park was able to win the first set against IU Kokomo by double digits, winning 25-14, but that was all she wrote for Point Park in the match because they would go on to lose the next 3 sets and not repeat as KIAC champs. Point Park was still able to make a second consecutive trip to the NAIAs and their third in team history. They faced off against number 12 Georgetown, Kentucky, who swept Point Park last year. And it was the same story again this year. For the second year in a row, Point Park ended their season against Georgetown in the NAIA opening round. Point Park wrapped up their season with an overall record of 17-24. It was a roller coaster type season for Point Park, who started out 0-9, but still earned themselves a bid to nationals. No Point Park players were awarded with a first or second team All-KIAC honor, but senior Paige Baker did win the KIAC Champions of Character for the team. Season-ending stats include Megan Branchick with a team-high 407 kills to go along with a .231 attack percentage. Paige Baker had 461 digs on the season, and Nikki Incortano had 162 blocks to end the season. Mike Bruno and his squad look to come back next year for his 12th season to regain the KIAC crown and make another run at nationals.
Well, Mike, how was this team able to make a deep run in the KIAC tournament?
When we get into playoffs, Kyle, all records go out the door. It's 0-0 again, and they just got hot. They were cold at the end of the season, and then they played Asbury in that last game, and I think that lifted their spirits a bit, gave them momentum heading in. Sometimes it's not about who's the best team come playoff time, but who's the hottest.
Now, Mike, what can this team use to help them next year? Because this year, as you said, was a roller coaster.
Yes, all year they wasn't a roller coaster in the back row. The back row struggled throughout the entire year, especially in serve receive. I've met some of the new recruits they're working on getting, and it's a lot of tall girls again. They're looking for the offensive weapons when they really need to focus on rebuilding the back row and getting a good starting libero. They're going to get Morgan D'Angelo back next year. She was out most of the year due to a knee injury. So as long as they rebuild that back row, they should be a better team next year looking to compete once again.
Thanks, Mike, and I like the bow tie. When we return to the sideline, we will close out the semester in an old-fashioned way with a special guest.
Every human being has a purpose, has a dream to have their voices heard, no matter where they come from, no matter where they go. As an American, it is their right to have freedom of speech. I have a dream that one day this message will speak louder than words, that even the quietest voice will not go unnoticed. That is my dream. What is yours? For more information, visit www.freedomofspeechpsa.org.
Welcome back to the Pioneer Sideline. We're going to finish the semester in old-fashioned way with the Case of the Week. Here to help me with the Case of the Week, I got Blaine King, Paul Daniels, and a recent graduate, Tyler Jeske, known as being the Tampa Bay Lightning guy. All right, guys, we're going to talk about the top 4 teams in college football. Who you got? We're going to start with the old guy on set, Tyler.
Who do I got? I got number 1, Clemson. Quite possibly the best team in the nation, Kyle. Easily the best quarterback in the nation. Deshaun Watson, he very well deserves the Heisman, at least in my opinion. Number 2, I have the team with, in my opinion, has the best resume in the nation, and that's Oklahoma. Recent wins, you got TCU, Baylor, Oklahoma State. I'm not gonna penalize them for that ugly loss to Texas. That was an early season type thing. It's an early in the season thing. I think they bounced back really well. They're playing great. They're playing really good defense. I'm not going to say great because nobody in the Big 12 plays great defense. Let's be serious with that. What's defense? Number 3, and the team I think nobody wants to play in the nation that's Alabama. They can run the ball. They play great in the trenches. I have them at number 3 because they had that loss at Ole Miss, and I think the SEC is really weak this year, guys. Just the SEC in general have just had a really bad year. Their biggest wins were against LSU and Georgia, and they're talking about firing coaches there. They did fire their coach at Georgia. And then number 4 is the team who I think is going to win the Big Ten, and that's Michigan State. And I think they're going to win it for this reason, Blaine. They have balance on both offense and defense, especially if Cook comes back. Sorry. And they've beaten the defending national champions. They've beaten a Michigan team who is quite possibly one of the most improved teams in the nation. And those are my 4 right there. Let's see what everyone else thinks.
All right, Paul, you said you have the same thing?
I have the same thing.
Well, since you have the same thing, we're going to go to the oddball here, the one in the middle. We put him there for a reason. All right, BK, what's different about yours?
Jeez.
What's the team that's different?
You hit it. You said SEC is weak, and I think Florida is going to upset Alabama. So with that happening, we're not going to have 1 and 2 is the same for me. I have Clemson and I have Oklahoma in. 3, Iowa. They're going to beat your Michigan State Spartans. And number 4, we're going to have the team that has the toughest schedule. Yes, they had 2 losses earlier in the season, but actually they were against 2 ranked teams in in Oregon. And who was the other team that
it doesn't matter when they lose to USC this week.
But Stanford is getting the number 4 seed. So I have Clemson, Oklahoma, Iowa, and Stanford.
I agree with Iowa upsetting.
Thank you.
Michigan
State.
All right,
let's
CJ Beathard is playing good football.
But when Michigan State stops to run, what's Iowa going to do?
They have a good defense.
They have a good defense, but when Michigan State stops to run, what's Iowa going to do?
They're going to kick a field goal.
Exactly. That's it.
All right, but seriously, you remember earlier in the semester when you all criticized me when I said Michigan State was one of the top 4 teams in the country?
Yeah.
Ha, and ha. You over there, Alex.
Now, what happens if they lose? What happens if they lose this weekend?
Then Iowa stays at number. Then Iowa will stay at number 4.
If they lose, this is what will happen.
If they lose,
Bob Stoops will actually have a successful team that'll get into a top 4, which will actually do some damage. That's right, because they actually might have the best quarterback in the country in Baker Mayfield, who is Johnny Football Jr. Also,
I think he may be even better than Johnny Football Jr.
The Stanford Cardinals, I think they're going out to prove something. Christian McCaffrey is going to go for about 360 total offensive yards, and they're going to win by about 21. And I think if that happens, Stanford is going to jump.
Here's where we disagree, Carl. I actually think Stanford is going to get upset by USC. I think USC has something to play for. Really? They have something to prove, guys.
What?
I'm calling it right now.
What?
USC will beat the Stanford Cardinals in the Pac-12 championship.
You've been hanging out in the SEC country way too long.
Yes.
SEC was really weak this year. I have been hanging out in SEC country a bit too long.
Guys, everything's going to remain the same, all right? There's going to be...
What about Ohio State, though? But seriously,
no, they're not.
Let's say Michigan State does what they've done the previous couple games against big teams. They've led for 0 total seconds against Michigan and Ohio State.
Then Iowa stays undefeated and they go in.
Does Ohio State jump?
No. Ohio State does not jump.
Iowa stays undefeated.
I'm just looking out for the one Buckeye fan we have here.
He can stay over there.
Whatever, stay over there.
All right. I think you're wrong. I think you're partially wrong. So that means the winner, which might be the first time I've ever said this, is Tyler Jeske. Holy crap. I didn't think I'd ever be saying that.
I came back, guys.
That'll do it for us here on the sideline. We would like to thank all of you wonderful talent and crew for making this show what it is. We also need to thank you viewers for tuning in to view all the Pioneer Sports coverage. We'll be back in January with more of your coverage. Until then, have a great holiday.